What's worse than being the ugliest person on Earth? Being the second ugliest person on Earth. That would fucking suck. Not only are you uglier than 99.999% of the people on Earth, but you don't even have the title of being the ugliest. Nobody wants to eat the second best burger on Earth when you can have the first best burger on Earth. Duh! Imagine living life with the burden of being 9 feet tall. Every day is a struggle for you. Even the simplest of things, like walking through a doorway, is troublesome for you. Clothes aren't made for you. Cars aren't made for you, but the one thing that you do have in this planet is the title of being the tallest human being. That's enough to put a smile on your face. Now imagine all of this, but one day you wake up and you find out, in New York City, in a small suburb, there's another person out there who's 9 feet 1 inches tall. Well, fuck a duck. I would be so genuinely upset. Now, I can understand it not being as bad if you guys became friends and lived through the burden of being the tallest people on Earth together, knowing that at least one more person knows your struggle. After all, misery does love company. I don't smoke cigarettes, so that's nice and all, right? But now imagine if they were a dick and they got to diminish your struggle just because they're taller than you. They make your struggle seem not as bad because they're 1 inch taller than you. And how could you even possibly consider having a troublesome life when their life is that much more troublesome than yours? That would be a fate worse than death. Now, I understand what I'm saying isn't the way that you should process a scenario as such. The proper way to do so would, of course, to be grateful for the life that you have and understand that there are other people out there that have it a little bit worse than you and empathize for them. I understand that entirely. But personally, if we're both suffering, I want to suffer just this much more than you. If you lost 1 finger, by golly, I better lose 2 motherfucking fingers. Oh no, you were diagnosed with AIDS? Well, guess what, bitch? I got super AIDS. Not in real life, I really don't. I don't have super AIDS. It's okay to drink my blood. Please don't drink my blood. But Nick, I was shot and it hurt really, really badly, and as I laid there dying, I couldn't help but to think how I was a failure to my family and how my kids will grow up fatherless, and whenever Father's Day comes around, they'll wonder what life would have been like if I hadn't been a victim to this inhuman manslaughter. Meanwhile, their mother is spiraling deeper and deeper into this mental psychosis because she lost the only human that had ever treated her right throughout her whole life. Well, I worked at McDonald's for 3 years, so get on my level. Now, for those of you who are still watching and don't think that I am a terrible, terrible person at this point, this was obviously a bit of hyperbole on my end. I'm joking. I'm actually here to mock this sort of selfish behavior. As we all know, everybody is a bit different in the way that we process things mentally. Some of us cope very easily, while others do not. The societal norm has always been that if someone else has a problem that is similar to yours, but their problem is this much more extenuating than yours, then your problem is kind of null and void at that point. Your problem kind of gets swept under the table. Now, as we all know, this is of course a bit circumstantial. For example, if somebody was shot and they laid there dying, and the other person over there had depression, of course we would go and we would focus on the person who was shot. I'm not saying that every situation should be treated the same, but what I am saying is that the way that we handle some situations should be a little bit different. But in an instance where we are comparing 2 people who are depressed, the reason that I am choosing depression is because it is our generation's polio. Everybody's got it. Everybody's got the polio. But in an instance where 2 people are depressed, I don't think it's okay for one person to be like, well, because my depression is a little bit worse than yours, your depression does not matter at all. Because I've noticed that our generation does this a lot. We kind of like to one-up each other in the sense that if I'm suffering just a wee bit more, your suffering does not even matter. So get out of my face. Don't even talk to me. Don't even try to tell me how you're suffering, because my suffering, my selfishness, my suffering is more important than yours. Now, I don't think everybody here is selfish. I'm not saying that, and I'm not even talking about anybody who subscribed to my channel or any of you guys at all, because I'm not depressed right now. I don't really usually get depressed. I'm typically a pretty happy person, but what I have noticed throughout my whole life is that whenever somebody tries to open up to someone else, and this is just from the bystander persona that I've gained throughout the years. Whenever I've noticed somebody trying to open up to someone else, they're always like, oh, well, you think that's bad? Well, watch this. And then that person's like, well, I mean, I tried to open up and talk to you, but now I can't do that anymore because my situation does not matter. I don't think this is as widespread of an epidemic as I'm making it out to be. I'm just trying to bring awareness to the idea that be a little bit more understanding of people. Try to be a little bit more nicer. If someone comes to you with a situation where they're feeling upset, I get that the norm is to try to give them something of yours as well, to be like, oh yeah, well, I'm upset too. But before you do that, before you try to make common ground, ask them, oh, how are you doing? Did you need any help? Did you need someone to talk to? Did you just want me to listen? Because I feel like if we were to do that as a generation, it might help each other out a little bit, you know, maybe cut some of the depression away, because from what I've noticed, everybody in my generation is depressed, and it's widespread. It's polio. Once you've passed an opening like that, or asking if they actually needed someone to talk to, then you could go ahead and try to be like, oh, well, your mom's dead? Well, my mom's dead too. And then you can mentally fuck each other. Apart from that, that was just what I wanted to talk about. I just had a few things in my mind like that. But I've noticed that a lot of people will do that. Like one time, for instance, and this was dumb, this is personal experience, and it's a little bit different, but when my dog had passed away when I was like 16 years old, I had went to school, and I told a friend of mine, I said, yeah, I'm not feeling so good, my dog passed away. And instead of asking me how I was doing, he said, oh, well, I don't like dogs. And I was like, well, fuck you, dude. You're a piece of shit human being. But that's about it. So thank you all so much for watching. Try to be nicer to each other. And until next time, I'm Avenged One.